Okay, this is another edition of Forgot to Mention. Last year I forgot to mention that the Arranger actually dies, which kind of made me happy because I was sick of his character always saying things like, "Oh, I can have that arranged." Yeah, I'm okay with it. Happy about it. Also, Harry becomes the Green Goblin again, but as a good guy. And then Spidey convinces him to stop it for the sake of his wife and son. And Harry also knows that Peter is Spider-Man, but he doesn't say anything to him. Anyway, let's get on with it. Alright, the conclusions from last year's cliffhangers were a bit disappointing. Spidey fought Puma for a while, but then they stop and decide that they're not enemies or friends, and they just part ways. Debt of honor settled, so that's that. Also, then there's the Spidey saves everyone from the bomb, and then they end up catching Simon Steele. It was a pretty cool issue, but it was okay. Then in the other one, a powerless Spider-Man and Black Cat fight all the villains who attacked Spider-Man after he lost his powers. Then Spider-Man uses the machine that took away his powers to get his powers back, but it somehow makes Black Cat lose her powers. And then the scientist who originally did this to Spidey was actually Chameleon. What a twist. And then there was also a new hero towards the beginning of this year. He's a doctor who has like this special suit and everything that enhances his abilities, and he battles evil corporations. Pretty much is his MO. Mostly ones that deal in pharmaceuticals of some kind, because he's a doctor. Also, the symbiote breaks into Eddie Brock's jail cell, and then they break out as Venom. And interestingly enough, Eddie shared the cell with a one Cletus Cassidy. If you know what that means, then yeah. But if you don't, better luck next year. You'll find out soon enough. Anyway, Venom finds Spider-Man, and they end up fighting to the death on an island. And then Spider-Man has to fake his death to end it because Venom is relentless. And the art for Venom is pretty insane this year. He looks so much more disturbing than ever. And now he's taking to camouflaging himself as like water, and he's like actually camouflaging himself as things like trees and stuff. So it's pretty cool, pretty awesome. And also, in just regular old Spider-Man, Hobgoblin is now going a little crazy, and he looks more and more like an actual goblin or demon, since that's where he got his powers from. And now he believes he's on a mission from God to eradicate sinners from the world, and he believes that Ghost Rider is Satan and Spider-Man is a demon. So he's kind of going off the deep end. And yeah. Then also, there are some hokey artists called the Avant-Garde, as in guard, and they decide that their great artistic masterpiece is to cause a great snowstorm in New York City. And it causes a lot of problems, but eventually Spider-Man and the Human Torch defeat them. Also, Doc Ock comes back, but again, his plans fail, like always. And a new superpowered villainess called Corona has an aura around her that melts anything it touches, and she can shoot energy from her hands, and eventually Spider-Man depowers her, and yeah, that's that. The Black Fox comes back for one last heist to fund his retirement, but gets mixed up with Doctor Doom and Spider-Man, and then Spidey eventually, finally, puts Black Fox in jail. Every single time before, he just let him go, but now he finally puts him in jail. Also, the Sandman is made a reserve member of the Avengers, but misinterprets something Captain America says as actually firing him, so he kind of storms off. And in the annuals, one of the big story that crossed over was Roxxon Oil is developing a synthetic version of a rare new element, but it's highly unstable, and they know it, and they lie about it, and it nearly causes tons of destruction. And then another story that ran through them was that Silver Sable recruits Rocket Racer, the Prowler, Will-O-The-Wisp, and the Sandman to form a new team called the Outlaws to fight crime. And Spidey fights the Tri-Sentinel again, but this time without the cosmic powers, and he manages to defeat it. Also a story in just regular old Spider-Man, which overall, just plain old Spider-Man is pretty different from the rest of the, different series, and it's a lot darker, first of all, and the art is just different, but yeah. In the one storyline, something is kidnapping and killing children in Canada, and the locals think it's some beast, and Peter is sent up there for the Bugle, and while there he meets Wolverine, who says it wasn't this beast called Wendigo, but actually one of the locals who's killing the kids, and it turns out to be the police chief. Also, Silvermane is back, and, well, his robotic body is strapped to a wall and needs a blood infusion, but anyway, he sends androids to kill Spider-Man, and they fail. But yeah. Anyway, Peter and MJ discuss having kids. Ultimately, they decide it's not the right time in their life for that. And in another just plain old Spider-Man story, there's a pretty cool one, but it continues in X-Force, so I don't have that. Guess I just won't read the rest of that story. But it was pretty cool. Not even going to bother telling you. Anyway, Spider-Man dies while trying to save some people, and he confronts Death, and Death sends him and the girl he was trying to save who died back to their bodies. So. Also, Vermin, Harry Osborn, and Peter all face their traumatic childhoods in their own way. Vermin was molested by his father when he was a child and gets help from a psychiatrist to overcome this. Harry's father didn't love him, and Harry puts the Green Goblin suit back on and goes insane and declares his hatred for Spider-Man yet again. And Peter finally lets go of the guilt that he put upon himself because of his parents' deaths, and he feels much better now. And in the story that crosses over to next year, Moon Knight's sidekick, Midnight, who is believed to be dead, is back in cyborg form and working for the Secret Empire. Midnight kidnaps Nova for a new project of theirs. Moon Knight, Spider-Man, Night Thrasher, and Punisher go after him, but they can't get to Nova in time. Punisher actually ends up sneaking onto the ship that Midnight and the rest of the Secret Empire and Nova are all on, and they leave in it, and that's that. So, be excited to see where that goes next year. So, pretty good year. It's pretty solid. Nothing too extraordinary throughout, but it was just overall very good. So, can't really complain. So far the 90s are shaping up to be pretty good. So far, pretty much some of the best. See you next time in 1992.